So in this video, the whole idea is not to just show you a bunch of junk that I bought over the last couple of years. What I'm going to show you are products or things that I've done with my studio and my YouTube channel that have been game changers. And I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't talk about this self-balancing camera stand that I made. And I've got a video on the channel. I'll put a link to it in the description for you. But if you're in a studio environment like I am, you're doing YouTube videos. In my day job, I'm doing content creation videos. So I'm constantly, got the camera doing talking head stuff, shooting products, you name it. A self-balancing camera stand where you can just turn a little knob and raise and lower your camera, hit another little dial, and you can slide your camera back and forth. You've got extra little fittings here to mount, say, audio equipment or what have you. This thing is going to change your life. We're talking, under $500 when I built this. It was a 3-month DIY project. Yes, I get it. Some of you may not have the skill set to do it, but there's other products out there like the Titan Studio stands that you can buy that will give you the similar capability to something like this. If this is of interest and you have questions, by all means connect in, but I would have to say, this thing has changed my life in ways that it's just made life in the studio so much easier. And 99% of the time, my camera's mounted on the stand. I've got it over there, just at the back of the studio, and fantastic piece of kit. So the second tool that I purchased sometime in the last year is my Sony a7 IV camera. And this is just an absolute beast of a hybrid camera. It does photos and video thoroughly well. I can't say enough good things about this camera. I mean, the addition of the mode dial and being able to do save your presets for depending on whether you're doing photo or video is just an absolute game changer. The flip out screen, finally, Sony gave us that, and it's just, for me, it's been a total game changer. Coming from the Sony a7 III to the a7 IV, I mean, definitely the 4 is better, but I'm shooting on the 3 right now. But we're talking about products that have been a game changer for me and for my photography pursuits like headshots, family shoots, engagement shoots, the kind of stuff that I like to do, composite work, HDR work, a little bit of landscape with the HDR situation. This camera is just phenomenal. Can't say enough good things about it. So item number 3, before I move away from the stand here, is this Leo Photo ball head. And I did a review on this earlier in the year, and this has been a game changer for me as well. I mean, this thing's just phenomenal. You can loosen you've got 2 drop-down notches here. So, it's kind of like a 1-2 punch, being able to have a stand like this and then a ball head like this. And when I got this ball head, when I first looked at it, it had the twist, Arca Swiss with the twist tightener on it. I didn't want it. What I wanted was the lever lock. And this combination, so this stand with this lever lock here, it just makes working in the studio effortless, because it's simply, slide it in, lock it down, and away you go. And you can shoot at just about any angle that you can dream up. The range of motion with it is fantastic. And then you've got another dial here. If you need to pan with it, you've got another dial to set the tension on it. I'll put a review. I've done a review on this ball head. I'll put the link in the description for you as well. But this stand with this ball head, oh my God, just a game changer for me. So the next piece of kit that's been a real game changer for me is the Rokinon 135mm f1.8 lens. This is an autofocus lens, and at first glance, it's kind of an oddball focal length. I mean, pro photographers have known about this focal length for years. Sony makes a G Master version. I bought a used copy of this lens from B&H, I think it was. And honest to God, it has changed my life, because you're not only getting with the ability to punch in with the buttons on the side of the lens, you're getting a 135, but you're also getting a 205mm lens as well. And if you're doing headshots, and you can see the examples, this lens is absolutely phenomenal. The way that it renders the images, I couldn't live without it. And saying that, I also own the G Master, the 50mm 1.2, and honest to God, I tend to use this one more than that lens. Although both have their strong points, this lens has been attached to my camera since I got it about 3 months ago. The next acquisition that I made is more of like an honorable mention. I modified my studio backdrop here. And so I've always been, I've always liked the mesh template that you can get in PowerPoint. And I've used that like hundreds of times over the years to do things. So I wanted kind of a technical look or a tactical background look, or however you want to describe it. And I think it was the video guy Morris's YouTube channel. I liked the backdrop that he had, but it was kind of a utilitarian thing where he had the workbench with the overhead lights and that. And so I got some inspiration from that. That combined with the mesh template from PowerPoint. Then I thought, you know what, let's try pegboard. And so what I did was, this is basically just a sheet of pegboard painted black, and mounted it on the wall. Built a shelf here, which cost me, I lost about 16 inches of my studio, but having, you know, underneath here, so I've got all of my roller bags on one side of the shelf, I've got all my backpacks on the other, I've got another shelf here for other miscellaneous stuff, plus the work surface I gained here, and then adding the LED feature around the circumference of the pegboard. And then last but not least, I took acoustic panels. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and ran them across the ceiling. And they're just 2 foot by 4 foot panels, so they come out to about here, and then I can still do my photography stuff. I have access to the ceiling for mounting lights and stuff like that. This has been a big game changer, because I used to do green screen, and really what that did was made me really good at doing green screen. But I quite like the look of this, and it turned out really well. And I think it was a really good investment, because it didn't really cost me a lot of money to make this. I mean, a sheet of plywood and pegboard, a couple $100, and the whole studio's got a new look to it. So that has worked out thoroughly well. So my next acquisition is this gizmo right here. This is a DJI Mini 3 Pro. And I was fascinated with drones when they first hit the market. DJI came out with their first version, but they look kind of big and bulky and clunky, and I didn't really think they had all the bugs worked out of them yet. But when, I think earlier this year, the DJI Mini 3 Pro came on the site, came on the scene, I was blown away by it. And the one thing that was kind of the hinge pin for, you know, acquiring one, I didn't want to have to get my pilot's license. I didn't want to have to register, go through any regulatory nonsense, right? And because this is 249 grams, this thing has changed my life. I mean, the video footage that you can get from it, the perspective of shots that you can get to use in your videos is just phenomenal, right? And I have to say, if any of you that are like me, you're on the fence about getting a drone, this thing is it really is forgiving to fly. As long as you don't do anything stupid with it and you use good common sense, I think anybody can fly one of these drones. Just be aware of where you're flying it and when you're flying it. And simple things like, I actually put this drone into the air at the front of my house for the first time. So I'm in a subdivision with 20 or 30 homes. But I'm also out in Kawartha Lakes, which is, you know, halfway between Toronto and Ottawa. So I'm out in the boonies pretty much, out in the sticks, as people would say. And so people don't pay too much attention to these. But the one thing I noticed is that if you put the drone up about 50 meters, that's about 150 feet, most people don't even know it's there. And that's kind of a little trick that I use on a regular basis when I'm flying. If I'm flying in and around a subdivision or anywhere I think I'm going to invade somebody's privacy, just put the drone up a lot higher such that they can't hear it. And you're going to get better image captures, better video quality, but you will have a ton of fun with one of these. I kid you not. And my wife actually bought me the previous version of this, the one that uses the cell phone for the monitor, and I didn't want that. I wanted everything all in one. So I paid the extra money, took her a nice Christmas gift, and I bought this guy here, which comes with the all-in-one controller. And it has been absolutely fantastic. And when I mentioned that this thing is forgiving to fly, I was flying it a couple of nights ago, and I was actually sitting on my front porch where I have an overhang on the roof, and I got a message on the controller. It said that you need to point the controller in the direction, because I had the thing about 1 kilometer away from where I was sitting. So basically I had to get off my bum, not be so lazy, and walk out into the open 20 feet. and it picked up the signal again, and no problem at all. And I've had no real calamities flying the drone. Like I say, it's fairly straightforward to use. It's just a matter of learning all the different tricks that you can do with the drone to get better footage. And I'm sure my footage will improve over time. So again, hands down game changer for me. So the next game changer for me, and I would imagine a lot of you fall into this category as well, what we have here is the CF Express Type A cards. Oh my God, did I ever underestimate these things? And these are not the fastest of the three available. So there's CFS Type A, CFS Express Type A, Type B, and Type C, I think. But A and B are the two most common, and B is twice the speed of A. But these things will change your life. Just blew me away now, especially with the A7 IV shooting 33 megapixel images. You go to take a whack of images and upload them into Capture One, which is my program of choice, and it's just like instant, they're there. You go to turn on your A7 IV and boom, it's instantly on. There's no buffer time, these things are just so fast. Yes, they're wicked expensive. I think this one was upwards of about $300 Canadian, so maybe like $200 US, but they are worth every penny of it. If you're crunching a lot of video or again trying to get a lot of images into your machine, don't overlook these cards. So the next thing without a doubt that has changed the game for me is upgrading from Camtasia Studio 9 to, I think I went to 2021 and then 2022. So I'm using Camtasia 2022. I'll probably upgrade to 2023. But what has changed about Camtasia is that it's always been a content creation tool, but it never really had the ability to do some of the stuff that we could do in After Effects or, you know, DaVinci Resolve or some of these other high-end programs. But now Camtasia, with the latest upgrades, 22 and 23, and I'm going to show you an example right now. Okay, so there you have it. That's a video opener that I did. I actually paid someone in Portugal to do an After Effects version for me. And then when I started getting into Camtasia 2022, I realized that I could duplicate it in Camtasia fairly easily because the latest versions of Camtasia have given us color grading. You can import LUTs, you can do all the fancy transitions. You've got paths and the ability to do so much more. I mean, there's so many new features to list, plus all of the new library assets. So, you know, without a doubt, upgrading to Camtasia 2022 or the latest version of 2023 will change your life for sure as far as being a content creator. And the one distinction that I would make, and this is really important, is that I'm not knocking DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, After Effects, any of those programs. They're all great tools for creating video, doing color grading, this kind of thing. But if you're a content creator, working in a multinational corporation, you can't go to a subject matter expert and say, hey man, I need you to learn DaVinci Resolve so that you and I can do a piece of content to produce some kind of a video. But, you know, when you're using Camtasia, Camtasia integrates with PowerPoint so well. That's what makes it such a powerful content creation tool. And typically what happens in my case is I'll see someone, a subject matter expert, will come and do a PowerPoint presentation. I'll look at it and go, wow, we need to turn that into a video because that just improves the quality and it makes it available to so many more people through the medium. So you really owe it to yourself to take a look at the later versions of Camtasia. If you're looking for a program that's a little bit less complicated to learn than some of those other programs and still will give you an excellent output, it's worth taking a look for sure. So the next item on my list that's been a game changer when doing talking head videos here at the desk when I got the computer in front of me, and that's my Zoom ZDM1 microphone. Right now on Amazon you can pick one up for 50 bucks. You can get a little kit for $79, so it's a real value. And I know a lot of people like the Shure SM7B, and you know, I'm not saying that's not a good microphone, but for the price point of the Zoom ZDM1, oh my God, you will not go wrong. It's just, it adds kind of a richness and a little bit bass depth to your voice. And the overall output I find is just much nicer, and highly recommend this microphone. It's really worthwhile taking a look at it. So this is another tool that I would be really hard pressed to live without, and that's the Atomos Ninja V recorder. And you know, for the simple reason that if you make some adjustments in the menu, you can record all of your screen information, and it has a wide range of adjustments that you can make that I really love. I'll just try to show you a few of them here. Like for example, the screen size. You know, there's a whole range of what you can adjust to achieve the outcome that you're trying to achieve. And it's a super bright display. You can get a little sun hood for it, so you can use it outside in bright sunlight or in the studio here. So if you don't want to see your screen display, it's a simple matter of hitting the display button on the back of your camera and just toggling through what information you do want to have present on the screen. So if you want to see full information like what you can see here, you've got that option. If you want to turn it off, you can even go into the menu, and under the suitcase there, under HDMI settings, you can, let's see here, info display. And if you click on that one, you can actually turn the info display off. So now your Ninja V just becomes like an external monitor. I mean, just a fantastic tool. And the longer you have it, the more you're going to find uses for it. Okay guys, so the next game changer app that I'm going to share with you, well, it's not an app actually, it's a device or a product. This is a Padcaster teleprompter that fits on the end of your camera lens. And this is the day view. I started with this and found it kind of weird because when I was using this, the little remote control, you're holding it, you know, under the table. It looks like you're scratching your nuggets all the time, right? So it looks kind of weird. And then, you know, taking into consideration my eyesight, I'm 64 years old now, so I wanted something that was a little bit bigger. So that's when I switched to the day view. But the day view teleprompter remote control is kind of this, it's a bigger, clunkier thing, right? And I really didn't like it. So I found an app from the App Store. It's a free download. It's called Prompt Smart, and it is just a game changer. So let me show you how it works. I'm going to click on the app here, and I'm going to close this here so you can see a recent script. So I'm just going to click on my Rokinon 135, and then I'm going to click play to put it into prompter mode. And so it's a voice activated teleprompter. So you don't have to worry about controlling the speed of the text. All you have to do is walk over, touch the little plus or the little play sign, and then stand back and read. Okay, so this Rokinon 135mm f1.8 lens is a well-made lens with a plastic exterior, but doesn't feel cheap. It does have a premium feel to it, in my opinion. It weighs 772 grams compared to Sony's 950 grams, so it's the lightest in the range. It's 2 centimeters longer than the G Master, which is of no real consequence, while being fully weather sealed for those rough weather situations. The focus ring offers a smooth feel with a slightly noticeable rubbing sound if you put it up to your ear and rack back and forth, but certainly nothing to complain about. So what you saw was me speaking into the teleprompter. The voice activation was working. The one thing that you have to be concerned about with this particular app is if you decide to script your video, don't ad-lib too much. You can ad-lib a little bit, you can put a word in here or there, but you may find that if you start to do that, you'll notice it jumps. But I've been using this software for probably a year now. And I also use it in my day job where I've got someone coming in, like an executive coming in, doing a read. And a lot of, the first thing you'll notice when you start doing commercial work or, you know, in a multinational environment is that people have vision problems such as myself. I mean, I can't tell you how many executives that I've worked with, the second you put them in front of a teleprompter and they have trouble seeing. And so again, the day view teleprompter is a little bit larger. This helps to compensate for that. But the nice thing is that most people I've found is that once they do a read with Prompt Smart and they see that you know, they're not being rushed by the text, so it's moving at the pace that they're speaking, it puts them at ease and you get a really good read out of them. And if you need to do it over and over again or go back, you can simply scroll back like this, hit the play button again, and away you go. And usually 1 or 2 times like that, once they get familiar with the script, away they go. Okay, so this is the Rokinon 135mm f1.8 lens. It's a well-made lens with a plastic exterior, but doesn't feel cheap. It does have a premium feel to it, in my opinion. It weighs 772 grams compared to Sony's 950 grams. So earlier in the video, I already commented about the Rokinon 135mm lens. Fantastic lens, just go out and buy 3 of them. So there's Prompt Smart teleprompter app. You can get it at the App Store. It's a free download. Phenomenal tool. Like I say, I've been using it for a year. Highly recommend it. This is a great tool and you don't have to worry about reaching down and looking kind of goofy. So there you have it. So there we go, folks. 10 game changer pieces of equipment, modifications to the studio that you can use for inspiration. If you have questions about any of the stuff in this video, by all means connect in, I'll help you out, especially if you're interested in building your own camera stand. I mean, that was a great project. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you know, some of the other tools, I was just noticing there when I was uploading the last clip for the production of this video, is that when I compared my SD card speed to the CF Express Type A, I just blown away by how fast CF Express Type A cards are. It's just, they'll change your life. They really will. If you found this video useful, hit the subscribe and like buttons for me. Smack the notification bell. I really appreciate it. And take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.